George Lucas has stated he wants to do a live-action TV series. Right now, there are 2 other series on the back burner that are also being made. The one that's probably going to be sooner than the other 2 is that Seth Green and George Lucas and another guy, I don't know, a guy that works in Robot Chicken, is going to be doing a comedy-based Star Wars film that's going to be more of a cartoon than Clone Wars is. It's going to be like an actual cartoon. It's going to be like... how they were explaining it, I kind of got SpongeBob SquarePants, but in the Star Wars universe, which I don't know if I like that, but it's not for me, so yeah.
About the live-action Star Wars thing, I'm kind of interested in that.
I have some information on that, and I want to tell you the information before you comment, okay?
Sure.
Okay, so you know what it is. First of all is C-3PO will be in it.
Uh-huh.
Boba Fett, the actor who played it in Episode 2, he will be reprising his role. I don't know how much. They're not using, for the most part, they're not going to be using any of the characters who were heavily featured in the films will not be in the TV show as main characters. Thus, you're going to get, like, it's going to be in between Episode 3 and 4, and it's going to be about the Rebel Alliance.
That's what they always do.
Well, no, it's going to be about in between Episodes 3 and 4, not in between Episodes 2 and 3. It's going to be actually about building the Rebel Alliance and building, and it's going to be about Rebel troopers and all that.
Oh, I mean, they kind of did it with Force Unleashed, but I guess, that doesn't have to be in continuity.
Yeah, and so now George Lucas recently on IG, I saw a video on IGN. George Lucas recently talked about it and why the show hasn't come out. And when I told my friend this, me and my friend cracked up. You know what his excuse was?
What?
Every episode right now for what he wants to do would cost $50 million per episode.
Just make a movie then.
No, I'm going, okay, yeah, then you're blatantly lying to us. Han Solo will be a main character, because for that money, you can actually afford to get Harrison Ford to be in every episode.
Yes. Yes, no, because I think that just a movie with Han Solo and maybe Chewbacca... I always liked Han Solo and Chewbacca, and maybe it's not a Star Wars show just with them, but maybe just taking place a little after the 6th movie, because they have a bunch of books with that happening.
Well, the sweet thing about Star Wars is you don't need Jedis. Like, the show won't be about Jedis, but you don't essentially need these characters. They're not essential. But, yeah. You can use who you want. Like, you could make a show, hypothetically, in the future about Han Solo and Chewbacca. That could be a show, and it could be a fun show. And that could absolutely be a show. I would actually make it in between Episode 3 and 4 and kind of have it where Han Solo is a rogue, and you kind of see what he was before he was your villain hero, and kind of like the missions he went on and stuff like that. I think that would make an excellent show. The problem is Harrison Ford's too old, and Harrison Ford would probably cost $30 million an episode, and no TV show has that kind of budget.
Well, I mean, you could recast Harrison Ford. I mean,
yeah,
as much as I hate that, you could. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, the thing I was kind of hoping they would do is I'm kind of hoping. Have you ever read Star Wars Legacy?
Is it the comic book or is it just the book?
Comic book.
I have not read the comic book.
Okay. Well, do you know what it's about?
Yes, it's about in the future what happens to the Jedis and Luke Skywalker's descendant. And
yeah, it's about Cade Skywalker. He's a bounty hunter who's hiding that he's actually a Jedi, and his father got killed, and it's very interesting and very good. And I want them to make a TV show out of that.
That would be really interesting, because nobody's played Cade Skywalker before, and you have a whole other world that you could do.
The only thing you would need is you would need, depending on how accurate you're going from the books, you would almost absolutely need Mark Hamill to play a cameo in a few episodes, which I'm pretty sure that wouldn't cost you much.
Mark Hamill is willing to do a Batman voice for a video game, I bet for $5. No, I mean, I bet I could hire Mark Hamill to be in a movie.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't think that's a problem. And you might need Ian McGregor to reply to be Obi-Wan Kenobi for a couple of episodes. But yet again, I'm sure you could figure something out. And you don't need it. It's not essential, but it's backstory of of one of the villains, because the main villain was actually a Jedi during the main villain that they're actually fighting was actually a main villain was actually a Jedi during the Clone Wars.
Really? He lived that long?
Yes, he's actually part Yuuzhan Vong.
That's very interesting, and I think that'd be a great idea for just because here's the thing: with Kate Skywalker, you have a fresh slate, so you could do just adapt the books up. And to be truthful, as much as I like Anakin Skywalker, I'm kind of tired because no matter how much you say, "Oh yeah, he was so good before he turned evil," he's gonna turn evil. So, there's only so many stories you can tell.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, the point about the thing I like about Kate Skywalker is he's not your hero. He's not your valiant hero. He doesn't want anything to do with the Jedi. And essentially, many of the problems that are coming through the books is because he doesn't want to do what is necessary. He's like, screw you, I'm going to go off and do my own thing, and you guys are all going to get buggled up, and me screwing you over, just by leaving. And I find that such an interesting character, because he's kind of like Han Solo in that regard, that he doesn't care what happens to his friends when he goes off and tries to do his own thing.
I mean, after a while, I kind of want to see, because all the Jedi's, with the exception of Anakin Skywalker and maybe Luke Skywalker, is I want to see some depth to the Jedi. You never get to see what happened. Like, really, if you never get to marry someone, well, that's in the old Jedi Order, not really anymore. But they never really experienced that. You don't get to marry anyone. You don't get to do anything you want. You have to go and protect the universe. Well, and that's really.
Well, Kate Skywalker's mother is actually very interesting too. She's actually an Imperial.
Really?
Yes, she's like you think. Tell me if you want me to stop, because this is actually kind of like a thing that comes up later in the books. You have to get into book 2 before you figure this out.
I don't care. I'll read it. I'm okay with getting.
Okay. Just want to make sure. Essentially, you find out that, like, basically this woman comes to hunt down Kate Skywalker, and you find out that's his mother.
Really?
Yes.
That's really. I mean, like, if you just did a TV show straight up like that, and just made maybe the second season ending you finding out it's his mother, that'd be a great cliffhanger.
Yes, and I mean, the problem with the books is every other volume is side notes. Like, every other volume so far, like, the first volume was this entire story. It was about, like, basically Kate Skywalker gets on this adventure. He goes through, he meets a princess. The princess is basically, you find out the emperor, the former emperor that was killed by the main bad guy is essentially a Jedi Knight leveled Jedi Knight. He's trained as a Jedi Knight, but he's not a Jedi Knight. He's a Jedi something else. Like basically he's got his own Imperial Knights that are kind of like Jedis, but they're not really. They don't use the Code of Honor, but they are trained in the Jedi ways.
Just the idea of having the idea of just having a Star Wars universe that you don't know anything about unless, of course, you read the books, is really interesting to me, because I think when you keep traveling inside the episodes and keep going, what was in between episode 1 and episode 2, and what was in between episode 2 and episode 3, as much as that's interesting, I kind of get tired of it after a while.
Well, have you ever played the video game Knights of the Republic?
Yes, I have played it.
Okay, because there's 2 games, which that's another thing I wish they would do. as either as a TV show because I think those are really good. But that's what I think they should do. Is I think they should pick an era, past or the future, and go so far in the past or so far in the future that basically nothing else matters.
Yeah, because if you did Knights of the Old Republic, it's the Old Republic. It's all the way back. None of the characters are really there.
No,
And
none of the characters are there. It's 4,000 years in the past.
Really? That's totally interesting. Like, in the beginning when they say a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, that the idea of just going even farther than that is really interesting.
Yeah, and you actually get to see the development of. You get to see basically you get to see the fall of like the main villain was the main villain is was a former Jedi Knight or a former Jedi Master, I think, and in that era was like the comic book of Knights of the Republic is on the back like I don't like the graphic novel because it's during the Mandalorian War and it's a fugitive story.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, you have this very interesting story, the Mandalorian War, and you're telling me a fugitive story. Why? I don't want to see this guy run away from Jedis. I want to see Mandalorians get killed by Jedis.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think the idea of just kind of the Knights of the Old Republic. I always liked something in Star Wars that nothing happens for the first time. Like Anakin turning evil, he's not the first Jedi that turned evil. Like, people have seen this before. Maybe it's happened 4,000 years ago. It's probably going to happen again if somebody writes a story eventually. I just like the idea of kind of sequences, stuff like that.
Yeah, and I do too. And I mean, there's so much you can do in that era because there's Darth Bane, there's Darth Exar Kun, and there's all these Jedis that we know about, but we never actually got to see in any other medium but comic books or novels. I don't know if they've ever been novels. And they would make so good for TV shows. And I mean, I'm sorry if I'm the only one that thinks this, and I don't think I am. I don't want to see a show about troopers. I don't mind that if that's one show of many, but if that's the main show, if that's the only show I'm getting for the next 10 years, screw you.
I mean, the troopers are interesting. I like that in the new show Clone Wars, they're actually giving them personalities. But, I want to see Jedis. I want to see, the Sith. I want to see, bounty hunters. What was my favorite episode of the Clone Wars? Goku.
Yeah, what was your favorite episode?
The episode where, I think it's Boba Fett, or Jango Fett, I'm not sure who it was.
It's Boba Fett. I have not seen the episode, but it was Boba Fett.
Yeah, it just kind of shows, I think it's a two-parter, it shows how he turns into Boba Fett. And I really like that episode because it's not so much on the Stormtroopers, but it really shows how screwed up Boba Fett is. Because, his dad just got his head shut off in the last movie, and you don't think he'd just be like, okay, my dad's dead. I think he'd be crazy, flip out, and they really talk about that a lot.
Okay, I'm going to stop this because we've been recording for a while and it hasn't stopped yet, and I don't want to stop in the middle of us recording again.
Yeah, no problem.